Welcome back to another episode of Life with Your Dog, another Q&A today. And the question comes in as, is it true that you can't teach old dogs new tricks? So we all hear this all the time, and it's usually the metaphor or the example that we say to like old people that, I'm too old, there's no point in me, learning anything new. So in regards to dogs, I think it's just not true. Obviously, there are some things to consider, but we're going to talk about a few things that come to mind straight away. First thing from my experience is that dogs are highly adaptable. When I worked in the shelters for some time, I was there for about 3 years, and lots of dogs came in. And when they were coming in, they had their own certain habits, like they would bark at certain people, or they would be scared of other people, or, not all the time they're coming in at young ages, so they may be a little bit older and they don't know how to, walk on a lead or follow any basic commands. So while the dogs are there for about a week or two, you start to see that their behavior starts to change because they've got no other choice really, and because good things happen to them, like for example having food with you and showing them how to sit down calm. We do this all the time down at Southern Shire Council Animal Shelter. I'm there helping the volunteers and the staff to have some consistency. And why is that? So the dogs can change their behavior so they're easier to be adopted out. So thanks for everyone joining live, and everyone's waving, so hello. First time I've done a live thing, so a little bit more pressure on today, hey? So thanks for joining us. Anyway, so you basically need to find out what's your dog motivated by. So if your dog's like 8 years old and is very motivated by food, well then you can teach them new commands. And if you can teach a dog a new command, well then why can't you teach them a new trick, for example? If your dog's not motivated by food and motivated more by the ball, well then through different shaping techniques and conditioning, and obviously someone guiding you in that direction, well then you can teach them to do new things. So I think that's really important. And if your dog's not that motivated by food, but your dog's still alive, well then your dog has to eat. So then how about you use the food that your dog gets from the bowl for free, and then you start to use that food. And through duration of time, you can start teaching them how to be more well-behaved when you're out on the walk, or for example, when new people come over, or if you do want to actually literally teach them tricks, well then you've got to put the time and practice in. And talking about motivation, and we can talk about humans, is that my grandmother, she's 93 now, and maybe like 4 years ago, she got a new TV box, and because she's Greek and she can mainly only understand Greek, she wants to watch a Greek channel. So because her motivation was high to learn that, she knew how to memorize the buttons to change it from different channels and to change the volume, and then also to switch it to the other TV. Like, she had the motivation to learn that, and because she had that motivation to listen to Greek shows and Greek TV, etc., well then she did it. But there was other things that I could teach her, like for example, like how to record them so then she could watch them at another time. She felt that was too complicated. She wasn't that motivated by it because she didn't understand the idea. So then she just hasn't learnt it. So when you're talking about when we can't teach old dogs new tricks, that's just the lazy man's mantra to not getting out of your comfort zone and learning new things. So I think it's usually an excuse of why people just don't do anything new. Now, it's certainly true that habits can be hard to break, but it's never impossible. So for example, I saw about an 8-year-old Dalmatian, and her name was Lady. She was a cool little dog, but like super scared of other dogs, and she seemed very reactive. She did go for a bite towards Spades once, but in the four sessions of training that we did, and that was spaced over about a month and a half, 2 months. First of all, her walking on the lead was like crazy bad. She would pull so hard that she was just all over the place. And then of course, when she saw a dog, she's then very reactive and lunging towards them. So I showed the owners how to then walk her, and she had a very high food drive, so we showed her how to be more focused on us. And yeah, for sure, she was still reactive to dogs from the first session to the second session, but at least the owners had more control. And why is that? Because she learned how to operate on the lead and to do new things. Also, when she was around new dogs, like it took about a month and a half, she started to accept being around other dogs. Now, it's been a while since I've seen them, and I don't know how they're going with everything, but from our fourth session, and our first session, there was a big change, and she's 8 years old, and she's just a larger dog. Like that's the last half of her life, and she was learning new things. So that's really important. And one last thing that I've got here on my list is like age restrictions, like health, and how can they move in the way that they used to move. Like for example, with Spades, he's 9 years old now, and I use him all the time. But I can see now he's getting a bit slower jumping into the car, so I have to work around him. Like when he was younger, I say inside, he jumps in. I would never think about it twice. But now, because his joints are starting to get wear and tear, he's getting on in life, I need to come up with other ways to get him into and out of that car. So I'm thinking about a new system now, maybe introducing, sorry about that, dropping my pen, introducing like a ramp or a step or something, right? So I need to work around him. So if you acquire a dog at 9 years old and doesn't know how to jump in the car, and you have a tall car, you may need to work around that. Is that teaching a dog new tricks? Well, you may need to teach her how to walk up the ramp through luring and doing it through, going with her restrictions. She may be scared of heights because she's never experienced that. So, look, there's so many different variations. I mean, there are many different variables of what's going to encourage a dog to do new things or not for them to do new things, but don't make your limitations of what you think that dog can do hinder her growth or her learning. You can say, she's 9, she's not going to learn new things, and that's craziness. You should try, and you should find a way to make it happen. And I guarantee if it's worth it for you to do it, you'll find a way to start teaching your dog to do new things. So don't let you be a restriction to your dog because you think she's too old. You need to know what the dog is like under its real motivation. So for example, seeing a dog not long ago wouldn't take the liver treats, so it was hard for them to train outside, but I used Frankfurt's, and it was a very high value food, and I was able to encourage the dog to do more things and using more positive reinforcement. And then of course, if you need to use pressure to get your dog to stop lunging at dogs because it won't take the food, well, if you're consistent enough and you're using the right amount of pressure on a dog, like for example, if you're going to change your direction, if you do it half but then stand there and let the dog continue to react, the dog will continue doing it. So it's all about knowing when to use what. And if you're struggling, get some advice, some real good dog training advice, and don't believe that you can't teach dogs new tricks, because it's not true. So I hope you enjoy our Q&A today. If there's any questions, let me know. And more than happy for, hello John, saying hello to me. And thanks for joining us. If people listen to us on our podcast, this is just going to be another episode uploaded, but we're doing Instagram Live today, and it's something new for us. So anyway, thanks so much for listening, and hope you all have a good day. You can check us out on Life with Your Dog podcast. Download it through your favorite podcast app or Spotify, and you can listen to the rest of our episodes. Hope you have a good day and enjoy your Friday. See ya.